Every year, millions of people read books about success. They attend seminars. They follow mentors. They study the habits of the wealthy and the routines of high performers. And most of them still end up exactly where they started. It is not because the information is wrong. Most of it is good. It is not because they are not trying. Many of them are trying harder than ever. It is because they are missing one principle. One foundational, invisible, almost never discussed principle that determines whether everything else works or not. And today I am going to tell you what it is. Not because it is complicated, it is actually very simple. But because simple does not mean easy. And most people avoid it precisely because of what it costs. The principle is this: sustained success requires character, not just competence. And character is built in private, over time, through choices no one else sees. Let me explain why this matters so much. Competence gets you the opportunity. Character determines whether you keep it, multiply it, and whether it fulfills you once you have it. We have all seen what happens when competence outpaces character. Athletes who reach the top and self-destruct. Executives who build empires and lose everything in a scandal. Influencers who rise overnight and collapse just as fast. The pattern is always the same. The platform grew faster than the person. The success arrived before the foundation was ready to hold it. Proverbs 11:2 says this with remarkable clarity: when pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. Pride is what happens when success arrives before character. Wisdom is what happens when character arrives first. Think about the people you most admire. Not the ones you follow on social media, the ones you actually respect. The ones whose lives you would genuinely want. What do they have in common? I would guess it is not just what they achieved. It is who they are. The way they treat people when there is nothing to gain. The way they respond when things go wrong. The way they carry themselves when no one is watching. That is character. And character, unlike skills, cannot be downloaded. It cannot be learned in a weekend workshop. It is forged, slowly, consistently, under pressure. Now let me show you what character actually looks like in practical terms. Because this is where most conversations about character stay too abstract and lose people. Character is finishing what you start even when the excitement wears off. It is showing up on Tuesday afternoon when nobody scheduled a camera to record it. Character is telling the truth when the lie would be easier and probably undetectable. It is returning the extra change when the cashier makes a mistake in your favor. Character is keeping your word to someone who has no power over you, who cannot reward you if you do and cannot punish you if you do not. That is the real test. Character is how you treat the server at the restaurant, the janitor in the building, the intern on their first week. These are the moments that reveal who you actually are. Luke 16:10 says, "Whoever is faithful with very little will also be faithful with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much." Little choices. Big revelation. Now here is where the ignored principle becomes even more specific. Most people focus on building skills, building networks, building their brand. Almost nobody talks about building their inner life. Your inner life is what happens when no one is watching. It is the quality of your thoughts when you are alone. It is what you feed your mind at 11 at night. It is the conversations you have with yourself. And here is the principle within the principle: your outer life will always eventually reflect your inner life. You can maintain a gap between them for a while, but not forever. This is why some people seem to collapse suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere. The outside looked fine. The inside had been eroding for years. The gap finally closed. And this is why some people seem to rise quietly and steadily, without drama, without scandal, and then one day you look up and they have built something extraordinary. The inside was strong before the outside showed it. So how do you build character? How do you actually develop the inside? I want to give you 5 very specific practices, not theories, practices. Practice 1: make and keep small promises to yourself. Every time you say you will do something and you do not, whether it is wake up when the alarm goes off or finish the task you started, you are eroding your self-trust. Self-trust is the foundation of character. And self-trust is built the same way any trust is built, through consistency over time, starting with the smallest commitments. Practice 2. Choose discomfort deliberately. Character is not built in comfort. It is built in the moment you push through when every part of you wants to stop. The cold shower you did not want to take. The difficult conversation you did not want to have. The extra hour you put in when you had already done enough. These small acts of voluntary discomfort are the gym of character. Practice 3. Guard what enters your mind. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Everything. Every decision. Every relationship. Every outcome. What you consistently feed your mind will eventually shape your values, your language, your decisions, and your character. The person who consumes bitterness produces bitterness. The person who consumes wisdom produces wisdom. Practice 4. Review your integrity regularly. Set aside time, weekly, monthly, to ask yourself honestly, did I do what I said I would do? Did I treat people with the respect they deserve? Was I honest even when it cost me? This kind of deliberate self-examination is what separates people who grow from people who simply get older. Growth is not automatic. It requires honest reflection. Practice 5. Pursue accountability. Find one person, a mentor, a trusted friend, a coach, who has permission to tell you the truth about yourself. And actually listen when they speak. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." You cannot sharpen yourself. You need friction. You need someone who loves you enough to be honest with you. Now I want to talk about something that does not get discussed enough in conversations about success and character. The role of failure. Failure is not the opposite of character. In many cases, failure is the workshop where character is made. The question is not whether you will fail, you will. The question is what you do with it. There are two kinds of people after a failure. The first kind asks, "What happened to me?" The second kind asks, "What can I learn from this?" The first question produces bitterness. The second produces growth. Joseph in the Bible is the most powerful illustration of this principle. Sold into slavery by his own brothers. Falsely accused. Thrown into prison. And yet, at every stage, he maintained his character. He did not become bitter in the pit. He did not become corrupt in Potiphar's house. He did not become cynical in the prison. And when the promotion came, it came to a man whose character was already equal to the position. That is the key insight. When God, or life, delays your promotion, it is often not because the opportunity is not ready. It is because you are not ready. The character work is still in progress. And here is what makes that truth both difficult and hopeful: it means the delay is not permanent. It is purposeful. Every season of preparation has an expiration date, if you do the work. Now let me address the version of this principle that applies to people who have already experienced significant success. Because the character challenge does not end when you arrive. In many ways, it intensifies. Power reveals character, it does not create it. When you have more resources, more influence, more options, you simply have more opportunity to express who you already are. If you were generous before the money, you will be generous with more money. If you were dishonest before the platform, you will be dishonest with a larger platform. Success is an amplifier. This is why the work of character is never finished. It is not something you complete and move past. It is a daily practice, like physical fitness, that must be maintained or it atrophies. The most dangerous season for character is not adversity. It is prolonged comfort. Adversity tends to sharpen character. Prolonged comfort tends to soften it in ways that are hard to notice until something tests it. This is why the wisest, most successful people I have observed never stop subjecting themselves to discipline. They never stop pursuing growth. They never stop asking, who am I becoming? That question, who am I becoming, is the most important question for long-term success. Not what am I achieving? Not what am I accumulating? Who am I becoming in the process? Because in the end, what you have accumulated will be redistributed. What you achieved will be surpassed. But who you became, the character you built, that is the legacy that remains. Matthew 7:24 says, "Everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock." The rock is character. Everything else is construction on top of it. And the passage continues, "The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock." The storm is coming. I do not know when, and I do not know what form it will take. But at some point, everything you have built will be tested. And the only question that will matter in that moment is, what is it built on? Build it on character. Build it on integrity. Build it on the private choices that no one sees but that God records. Build it slowly, faithfully, without shortcuts. Because the success that lasts is never built on talent alone. It is never built on timing alone. It is built on the substance of the person who is doing the building. You are that person. And today, right now, you have the same choice that every person who ever built something lasting had to make. Will you do the visible work that everyone applauds? Or will you also do the invisible work that no one sees, that builds the foundation everything else rests on? Most people choose the visible. The few who choose both, who do the work in public and in private, who build skill and character simultaneously, those are the ones who build something that truly lasts. Be one of the few. Do the work. Build the inside. Guard the heart. Keep the promises. Tell the truth. Stay humble. Stay hungry. And watch what God does with a life that is built on rock. The success principle most people ignore is not a secret. It has been written into creation from the beginning. Character first. Everything else follows. May you be a person of extraordinary character. May the inside of your life be even more beautiful than the outside. And may everything you build stand, not just for years, but for generations.